Welcome everyone. This is an impromptu interview at BeGeistert 14, 2005 with Bernd, Korz, Alan,
Westbrook?
what was his last name?
Whatever my last name is.
Westbrook, Daniel Teixeira,
The
close, and I'm Chris Simmons, of course. Daniel represents IsComputerOn and I represent Haiku News. My first question, you've moved offices recently and you now have more space and more employees are on the rise. What's that feel like to you? And how are things going with the success of sales of Zeta?
Well, the new offices feel really good. So we had small offices and we had not enough space to store things, and people were not possible to express themselves. It was too close to the others and you had no space to speak, teach people and so on. Yeah, with the guitar room. Yeah. We feel really convinced about the new office, and
yeah, the new office is a tremendous improvement.
yeah.
The old offices were right for the time that we had them at. We had limited funds. We wanted to make sure that we could still pay everyone. We had offices probably big enough for about 4 people, and we had about 8 people in there. So at the time it made sense, and we really waited until it really made sense to get a new office with enough space for some expansion and for people to feel more comfortable.
How many employees do you have now?
Altogether we have 35 people.
And developers? Just developers?
12, 10.
It's about half developers, it was about 15,
Oh.
17 last I counted.
Yeah.
The rest
It doesn't necessarily feel like that many because we have a lot of remote developers right now,
Okay.
but that's going to be changing.
Yeah, we're working on that.
You're trying to concentrate them,
Right.
so to speak,
So bring
at
them
the office.
partly more to the office, like Bruno's here now, and
Yeah.
the others.
It's a much
themselves.
nicer dynamic when everyone's together.
Easier communication.
Right.
You can have a lot more fun too, running around the halls.
Yeah, I saw
it's
your
broken. This is your fault. It started to feel more like it felt like working at B when everyone was there, and you have a lot of stress, but you also are able to blow it off in really fun, creative, and
Like playing the guitar.
generally positive ways, as opposed to working remotely, which works at first when you're very limited budget, but it's not something that is good in the long run.
Okay. Anything that you're working on now that, such as ports of things like Bash or PHP or Perl, anything along those lines that needs to be done and be given back to Haiku anytime soon?
I should answer that. We have a number of projects. Francois Revold. How do you pronounce his last name?
Revold.
I think
Revold. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
I'll learn
Revold.
on this so much. I'm so used to him on IRC. It's just Francois or MMU. He's doing a lot of the GNU ports, which is good because we're really familiar with that area and he's good with that stuff. And he's doing a lot of work to make sure that we get patches back to the main lines so that they're available to the community. OpenSSH, OpenSSL, Bash,
All
I'm
the
sure
core
there's like
utils,
core
the complete
utils,
5-to-1 core utils.
I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that
He did more
completely
fixes
forget.
in BOSS, he did the PRPC fixes in the
Right.
working time, and
Yes.
he did some more OpenVPN.
So there is a lot of stuff that's coming back that maybe Haiku isn't seeing directly, but they need to have their maintainers contact the people who are the official ports,
Is it
like
a
the
matter-
good news kind of stuff.
Is it a matter of just accessing your CVS internally and just putting it out?
No, what it is it's a matter of Haiku going to GNU and getting the updates that we gave them.
No,
So
you give
probably
to
what's
the-
happening is we give a bunch of diffs to the GNU maintainers. They need to find the time to go over the diffs and integrate them with their source code. The next time the Haiku maintainers sync with them, they'll see all of that stuff.
Okay. And speaking of things like that, GCC, what are your plans to do with 3.4 and Zeta coming
We're really interested in getting a newer GCC. There's a lot of things that are interesting, that are cool, that are coming to GCC, but especially with 4. We may wait till 4 before we do this whole...
4.0.
Yeah, GCC 4, because they're doing some changes in the back end, and as you know, a lot of open source projects aren't that interested in maintaining binary backwards compatibility. So when we do make a break, we have a plan for keeping backwards compatibility, but we don't want to have to continually update for every point release or something in GCC, so we're going to probably take something that's as stable as possible, stick with it for a while. GCC 3 was in the plans for a while. It may wait till GCC 4, we just have to see how it goes out. For now, we're just GCC 295.295, the one that,
Yeah.
294.8 or so.
something like that.
And if it comes to the table, a decision to break or keep the binary compatibility.
Well,
Do you want me to talk about this, or should I,
Well, we
talk about this? Good idea?
well,
Whatever. We want to do 64-bit. That's obviously in the future. That is obviously going to break binary compatibility. Writing an emulation layer for 32-bit in the 64-bit environment for us is just, at this point, it's an expense that's just, it doesn't make any sense to do. So there's, I don't have any plans for keeping binary compatibility with 64-bit OS. 32-bit, we can keep binary compatibility using some fun things with libraries and such, so that you can have GCC 2 and GCC 3 or GCC 4 binaries on the same machine running concurrently.
We're talking about different binaries existing in the same tree, like a different name for them each, or?
no, you have, look, you have maybe some BOS binaries, older applications that like Personal Studio, and you have new GCC 4 binaries. You switch the development kit, so it uses that libraries you compile to these apps.
Right, that's for at development time. At runtime,
That's what I mean.
at runtime, they're going to interface with the libraries in such a way that they'll both work at the same time. I don't want to get into details right now because nothing's completely solidified.
Okay. Just to go back a second, how fast is PurePC right now on Zeta? In terms of usability for OS,
3.5. No, what do you mean how fast?
In terms of usability.
Well, I started on the 1.6 GHz Centrino, so I needed about 2 minutes, it was booted up, including the OS, and I started the calendar app, which needed about 15 seconds.
So it's like using Windows natively.
Yeah.
It seems really slow when you're used to BOS,
Yeah.
So
but,
it's,
but if you're used to Mac OS, it's a reasonable amount of time.
yeah, so it's like, it feels a bit, you know, we have an eMac 1 GHz with 1 GB RAM. It's a bit faster than that, but not much faster.
Okay.
So it's usable though, definitely.
Yeah, I would say it's usable.
I've never used it.
I use it sometimes because from my eMac, my wife is using it from time to time. She has some calendar stuff on when people try to make meetings with me. She's do all this appointment, and I just loaded files into this emulator because I have no time otherwise, and I just load them in it. It's fine.
What kind of services are available in PowerPC in that sense? Like, can you speak on the behalf? Can you say it's all available, the entire machine, everything down to hardware? Like
Well, first of all, I did some more fixes for network, as far as I remember. You cannot mount, as you were possible in Sheep Shaver, you cannot mount the BFS partitions anymore.
Because, well, for one thing, there is a byte order issue.
Yeah.
PowerPC only worked on PPC machines, anyways. I'm sorry, Sheep Shaver, it's kind of late for me. Sheep Shaver only worked on PPC machines in the first place. It never worked on x86. So what you've got here is an emulation layer. And then you have on top of that a byte order issue. So there's not a whole lot of file sharing, and there's not any drag and drop right now. But it's still really, really cool to be able to see OS X running on your BOS machine with a different partition. You're like, it's 2 computers in one.
Yeah.
This question is more for Bernd, I think. Well, we all hope that Zeta is a huge success, of course. And so let's take it 5 years in the future and the user base is big and right now the official, so to speak, unofficial conference with Zeta and yellowTAB is BeGeistert.
Yeah, we have.
Do you see in 5 years like a
Zeta
ZetaCon
Yeah.
or something like that?
So first, we keep to stay on the CeBIT,
Mm-hmm.
and next year we have a 200 square meter booth. So we have our partners who work with us together, make the projects, commercial partners. We have a joint venture there, and we all work there together. But to be honest, my plans about this is to have a Zeta convention days. It's, you know, BeGeistert is for the people like we all sit here together. We are all a bit of a kind of freaks. We want to hang a bit, talk a bit, have fun.
They go to
But
bed at 9 in the morning.
It's not very productive. It's not that you can convince people, business partners, say, hey, bring your developers to this show, we teach them. My ideas are something like the Zeta convention days for a week, maybe 3 days. All these partners we have worldwide come together there, show the products. It's like the Linux Expo we want to do with Zeta.
Right, and also something I want to do with it is focus a lot, even have developer tracks at developer conferences. Generally have tracks. It's like, well, your driver developers will go to these classes these days,
Right.
and your application developers will do this, and your media developers will go do that. So there's a lot. This is like impromptu. Yeah, here's some new stuff we're doing. Whatever. Nothing's really prepared. I haven't had time to prepare for it. We really do want to do real developer conventions as well as having user conventions too.
Yes.
They can be a little bit separate, they can be a little bit the same. It doesn't hurt to mingle everyone because your developer should be talking to your user base. But users want a little less in the way of content. They want a little bit more show, developers want more, well, how does the API work? You know, it's kind of a different kind of thing. So there's going to be some different things going on in there.
You can have workshops for regular users, and you can have.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Exactly, that's the idea of the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have one guy is making the workshop for the media kit, one guy is doing for the app server interface kit, and one guy is doing for drivers. And there's one guy who says, okay, we do some base development, how to do apps and the things.
Have you considered having people outside your company come in and work with you on that behalf? Like, let's say a person comes in and presents Zeta and its use in a personal video recorder, for instance, and he has a nice project and he wants to show off the capabilities of Zeta and his project. Would you allow that to happen?
Yeah, third-party developers.
We do it by now.
Yeah, we do that already at say CeBIT. Part of the reason we have to have such a huge amount of space is because we have the people like the guys doing the 360 camera coming and saying, this is our application, and blah, blah, blah. And that, it helps them and not only helps us because it shows that we have applications available that people want to use, because an OS is nothing without applications.
So next year you can say we have about 7 or 10 companies. I expect 10 companies, something around this, be with us together at a CeBIT and show their own products based on Zeta.
I can see that.
Well, we see that now.
Cool. What are the key differences now between Zeta Neo and Zeta Venture, and what will be the differences after Venture comes out that you're working on?
We don't want to make any forward-looking statements about it. Although Bernd
That's
does
different
want to
company.
make forward-looking statements. There's a lot of stability that's happening in Venture, or there's a lot of fixes that we've been wanting to make for a long time that are coming out in Venture. Neo was really about new features and trying to complete what you kind of saw there. Venture is about polishing everything off and making sure that it's presentable for the general public. After that, you know, the sky's the limit.
Right.
So what we can say is one of Venture, we published it in the net, is we really dramatically expanded the printer support. we ported Fumatic Rib and the new Ghost Script and all the things. We fixed that. We expanded our printer kit with it, so we have support for all PBD files, which coming along with cups. So you have about 5,000 printers fully supported, which means all the paper sizes, all the features a printer brings with, even GDI printers from Epson, from Canon, from yellowTAB, from Apple. All these printers are supported. We really did a lot of fixes in the kernel, important fixes, optimized it for CPUs, fixed the very, very difficult, impossible to fix memory thing. Yeah, so
No, it wasn't impossible.
yeah,
Like
some people said it's impossible.
You're talking about the RAM limit or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, it's not 1 gig under Zeta, it was 768 related to Bone because it needed some memory, and even only BIOS or 5 were possible to use 1 gig. And Dano was possible to use 768. So no 1 gig. And you can put 2 gigabyte in or so, it just works.
It will use the entire 2 gigabytes?
Yeah. Well,
We're actually releasing some stuff that we've been keeping internal for a while in Venture that we hadn't felt was stable enough. Some things to do. We've talked about NDIS.
Yeah, well, we can talk.
Yeah, NDIS, which is a wrapper layer for network driver interface specification.
Which is not GPL code.
Which is it's an implementation that we've done from the ground up.
Yeah.
To allow use of Windows drivers in
So
our
for
operating
some
system
people,
for network cards.
So you're suggesting that I could take a network driver for my esoteric 3-com card that nobody wants to use, but I happen to have a copy of, or a card lying around, and it didn't work in BOS, didn't work in Zeta.
Yeah.
I put in my Windows DLL file, a copy of the
The
file.
.sys file.
It's a .sys file, and it has to be Windows NT or later.
Okay.
Because actually, Windows 95 drivers might work. There's this like Unicode, these Unicode issues with strings. And we have actually a bunch of functions that convert these things. I'm not sure how the symbols resolve, but we've only been testing the latest like XP drivers actually because. The truth is we are limiting it to a tested subset of hardware that we do know, because what happens is drivers can use any part of the NTOS kernel API they want. So there might be a function out there that they want to use that we haven't implemented. The only way we can guarantee that all kernel drivers would work under it is completely implementing the Windows NT kernel, which I don't think we're going to do.
We're doing like a wine version or something, like making a wine.
Wine is all about user space. That's about the GDI. We're talking about the kernel level application stuff, which is a little bit more tricky.
Well, to Bernd and well, sure, but you've been the one that suffered the most. I probably know the answer, but when you read all the texts, all the slanders on several sites,
Yeah.
you probably laugh about it, but does it get to you in a way?
No, I really don't laugh about it. Ask them. I really. It is, it's, when I read the bad things, it's really unfair. I mean, we invested all the money, we invested all the time, and we were fair enough and published a product, even if it wasn't perfect. And whatever we do, even after the tests now on Zeta News, with the kernel, we proved a lot of things that people can just not stop to complain. And I cannot laugh about these things. This is our baby. I work 3-4 days without sleeping. And then you read these commands and think, hey, come on, what is wrong? We could give it for free, the people would complain that we don't pay the download rates. Really, it's just understandable. But I got the impression that the last 6 months, since Neo is out and the first service pack, there's a real change. So, especially after the article friends did, the complainings go really less and less and less now.
Yeah, I think you can see that it's changing, it's shifting.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry about the shift mentioned. But yeah, you can see it's changing.
Sorry.
I think you can see it's changing. But
Yeah.
let's see if it can.
But it really touched me, and we read these commands and really take them serious. So it's not ever just, you know, there was a guy when I had my accident, he wrote on our website, hey, it's not only too stupid to make an OS, he's even too stupid to drive a car. It's too bad that he didn't get hit stronger, you know? So I don't understand these commands.
No, well, it's not even
In
worth
any
commenting that.
Yeah, well,
In any
So-
context, that sort of thing is not acceptable, so.
Yeah, of course.
There's always a percentage of whatever community you look at that will be the most vocal in anything. So I have felt the same emotions as you have about reading things said to me or said about me, whatever, and I understand what you're saying as well. Like, you just have to ignore it. You can't even acknowledge it anymore because it's not worth your time.
Bernd has this problem that he's the public face of the company, so that's who people attack. I can stay more in the background and talk to developers on off sort of, you know, off the beaten path, but he has to be out there saying stuff. So
Well,
where Bernd's taking all of the brunt, a lot of it, things that people are complaining about are my fault, actually.
yeah, well, Bernd to many people is.
Right.
Yeah,
They
you
don't,
know-
they don't even know who I am, which.
yeah, they just write, oh, what he did again. I remember there was an article, they really complained about the English. Oh, Bernd is really blah. So I even didn't know that we published this article or wrote it. So it's just always, it is Bernd.
Bernd.
Yeah, no matter who does it, it's going to be burned for a long time, I think, until they understand. Well, until like either our company gets bigger and people understand that, oh, there's actual, you know, we have marketing people who are doing copy and developers who are doing configuration. It's not all burned anymore. It'll take time.
But on the other hand, I say, okay, well, if the people think that's always Bernd, I can almost deal with it as long as our developers can concentrate on the work. So, I mean, there was to make a decision a few months ago when we made the new flyers with my face on it, and we started to promote this person Bernd to the product Zeta, and I really disliked it. Because, you know, I said, I don't want to be the front guy, and I really dislike, I want to be more in the background, but I had to be.
In a way that's good because then you're a focus for something that could be the fault of, as Alan said, probably his fault or something like that.
Yeah, you know.
It's taking the heat off him and you can deal with it. If
Right.
you can deal with it.
And you know, there's a thing where I said there is a Bill Gates, he's the face of Microsoft, there's a Linus Torvald, he's the face of this, and there's a Steve Jobs, he's the face of the company, and well, we had to say one have to be the face of yellowTAB.
Yeah.
People like to
Well, I think-
identify with
I think it's one of the reasons why Linux is so much more prevalent, or at least in the public view, than BSD. Say BSD, you're like, what's that? Say Linux or Linux, as the Americans say. Oh, yeah. It's because they have a face. BSD doesn't, as far as I know. They have that.
It's a cute mascot.
They have a mascot, right? But they don't have a person
Yeah.
that represents the company, represents the concept, really, of what it is. So that's why it's kind of suffered in a little obscurity, I think. It's because people can't connect to the personal level with
they like to relate.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Can you speak about what your solution would be to offering office things for people who need office things?
Well, currently we stay with Gobi 2, but we are working on a new solution which is not open office. So it's a closed source solution, and I cannot talk about the name.
It's not written by us, though.
Yeah. So we don't do the thing.
You don't feel like you should get behind open office port to BOS, even though it's been stagnant for years?
No, you know, the problem with open office is it's really slow, and it's not really MS Office compatible. So they miss a lot of things, like in PowerPoint and all these things, and it's really slow. We would have to do so many base work just to get it anyhow compiled, and then we have to do so many base work that it starts to work.
And then we have to debug all the problems in the Java virtual machine implementation that we have to use for it. OpenOffice 2.0 is heavily dependent on Java, and that even has a lot of the open source community up in arms about the decision to do that. And really Sun still really drives OpenOffice, so it's really their thing, even though it's open source, it's still a Sun project.
You have to bow to Sun.
You still have to bow to Sun, just the same way the Java. It's, oh yeah, the spec is there, well you can't call it Java unless you pay us all this money for it.
And what about Java itself? What's your solution?
The solution for Java is Java.
Yes, of course. But are you going to be relying on the work done by Brian Varner and
No.
Nathan Whitehorn? Or?
No, no.
Then
We do our own work on it.
you're going to make your own port of Java.
Yeah.
Is it started already?
Yes.
How long has it been going on?
Well, we had, there was a point we had to stop because we had this trouble with the add-on limitations, and we wanted to say we don't want to do any workarounds, we want to have it as it should work, so we need more
We want to fix our
space.
problems rather than patch,
Yeah.
put the
Yeah.
duct tape on the original issue.
How complete is your Java port then?
I cannot say to you I'm not a Java guy.
Well, it's no secret that Michael Phipps, the leader of the Haiku project, is here.
Where? I haven't seen it.
And well, we know that both Haiku and Zeta share code. But
Yeah.
in terms of institutions, what's the relationship between
So-
both projects?
We don't actually have a lot of close ties with them. I mean, we don't know the same people, but it's not like we go with them and, hey, we're going to go do this, what are you guys doing? There's not been a lot of that yet. I'm sure we both keep a close eye on each other, see what's going on. I subscribe to the Haiku change list, so see what's going on, see all Axel's changes, and the more of Axel's changes, and then Axel submits some changes. So I kind of know who's doing the work over there and what kind of changes or things are being progressed. But from a development standpoint, we're not like talking to developers every day about what we want to do, what they want to do, or anything. I'm not sure about from a management standpoint.
It's the same, you know, currently we try to help the driver development guys like Rudolph or Thomas, and we work together, we buy them hardware if they need it, and we try to get specs for them. We give them some money that they can get some free time from work to work on a project, and like in Thomas' sample I can say, so he gave us the code for like the IDE driver, the new one. We fixed a bunch of stuff, we give back, and he will then give it to Haiku. These are the things we're working, we try to work together, but you know, it's Nathan who's working on drivers, and he's in our channel. We try to give him bug reports, and when he needs something from us, he can request, he can ask us. We have Axel, we have Thomas, and we have Rudolph, and that's it, right?
Right, we have relations with specific developers, but not like
So,
the whole team or anything like whatever.
Well, to be honest, it's almost the whole team working in here.
Yeah.
That's our employees.
So, what you're saying is the two most famous drivers, Haiku drivers, which are the NVIDIA and the Radeon,
Yeah.
are being funded by yellowTAB.
No, it's not funded by us. We just
Well, helped.
Supported.
So like-
Supported, yeah,
As
supported.
Rudolph said today, we bought him a machine last year, it was a bit expensive, with PCI Express, with the new cards, and he was really happy. You got this. He was really happy about this machine because he had 2 months, and he really changed his driver because this machine provided him with every hardware he needed, and he wouldn't have been possible to afford the money to just buy this hardware.
Without your contribution to his effort, he would have been further behind than what he is now.
Yeah, but you know, we would even be further behind if he wouldn't do it.
So
So
then
it's
it's in
a
your
really-
best interest.
Yeah, it's for both, you know.
It's a very symbiotic relationship. It's like what we do to help him helps us.
And
So he gives us more, I think, than we can give him.
You
That's no
mentioned,
question.
the IDE driver as well. The changes you made, what kind of changes are they?
Well, Thomas made a new IDE driver, he made a complete new driver architecture. which we adopt to Zeta. It's completely new for all mass storage things, like SCSI, serial ATA, IDE, RAID, USB mass storage, all these things. And he gave,
1394.
Serial also?
Yeah.
Serial ATA?
well, one else is doing that thing, so
In the pipeline.
yeah. So what we do, we got this stuff from him. It was not ready. There was stuff missed. There was stuff missed. There were some bugs in, and here was not optimized. We took Ithamar and Bruno on it for a few weeks, and they finished the stuff for Thomas in the full-time work, which is like you have to work probably 4 or 5 months, which we did in a week too.
Well, just because,
Yeah, of course.
you know, he has to do it in spare time.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And-
Related to the hours we have there, so. that's
Yeah, and
what
we're
I mean.
able to work 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
Actually, when Ithamar and Bruno got here, Ithamar's worked for like 36 hours in a row.
Yeah,
I was like,
you,
you gotta sleep
He looked
sometime.
really- So we did all these things, and then we gave him back every change we did.
And
And
he's
this goes
allowed,
into Haiku.
and he's allowed to, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, sure, we are allowed to
Do
use this
whatever he
stuff.
wants.
And this is the relations we especially have with Haiku currently, because we think for our point of view, drivers are for both parties very important.
Yeah.
You mean they can do the OS, but without drivers, well, to be honest, they can do nothing. So they need drivers, and this is where we want to dive in. We want to donate money. We want to donate hardware. We want to donate with suggestions, ideas. People can come into our office, work with us together. We try to give them specs, and this is a relation I really appreciate with them.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
sure everyone
it's a
is.
fantastic bonus for us.
Yeah.
Really.
So we're covering video, we're covering networking with the gigabit drivers and things like that from
Yeah.
Marcus. We're covering,
You saw the DVB thing.
yeah.
So Marcus and me together, he had this idea, and I said, okay, I'll make everything happen. I called How Harsh, we got specifications, yellowTAB signed an NDA, we got the contacts to the CEO. This is all yellowTAB did for him. But it's a small part because he did the big part. He wrote the driver.
You open the door and
Yeah, so we're more than happy that we can help, and we are even far more happy that he is doing the driver.
And we're also covering things like IDE, mass storage, USB 2.
Yeah, this works like charm.
And what is left then? Things like scanners?
This
We
is
have
done.
scanner support.
A very decent one. We made same here. Philip Houdini did this sanity thing. We took Francois probably 4 weeks full time on the scanner things. It's maybe
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Yeah, at least.
So he fixed a bunch of stuff on new scanners, and he gives back everything to Philip Houdini.
And they all come back through that to Haiku eventually.
Yeah, whatever he
As
does
the
with it.
developers decide.
Okay,
So we don't make this decision. He has to do this decision himself.
agreed, okay. What's next beyond venture? We covered already with features. What about marketing ideas, or the company will be doing something new? Can you announce anything now?
Well, currently I am the company's developer. He's the software developer, I'm the
He's
company.
developer.
Yeah,
Business
so-
developer.
Yeah, right. So my thing is, my plans is for this year to grow up a bit more, have 15 or 20 more people. We need people to help workshops, to teach other developers, and he cannot do this, he has too much to do with, to be a CTO. And we need more marketing guys, we need more people in the accounting parts and all these things.
Things that make a business work.
Yeah.
You can't just have a bunch of developers working
Right.
together to get the
So
product out.
this is what I'm working quite hard on currently.
Are there opportunities for third parties, let's say resellers, to come up and do
Oh,
something
we have a
for you?
bunch of them. So like on Monday we have a workshop. If you want to get a reseller for yellowTAB, you have to follow some rules. You have to get a certificate. So you have to come to the office. You have to show us that you have the legally right to resell any product. You have to tell us how you want to sell the product. You have to tell us where it fits into your product palette. Maybe you sell a bunch of operating systems and we dislike this, so we don't have the impression that it fits into your product role, so we say no. Then you have to do a workshop, it goes 8 hours, we show you all about the OS, we talk about the company. So you get a relation to us. It's not like we did in the past, hey, I want to be a reseller, give me a special price, here's my license that I can sell it, we gave you a special price, you start to sell it.
Yeah, we want to have people who are really interested in
Right.
selling the product, people who can support their customers. We're not just gonna like
Not,
take the money, slide it across the counter, and that's all they want to have to do.
not just a baker somewhere, it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want to have professional resellers. They're convinced to the customers. You know, the customer coming in, he asks, oh, what is that? And he can say, hey, this is Zeta's operating system. He say, this is my hardware, this is what I want to do. And he can give him an idea about the product. He make him trust in the product and in the company behind it. This is his job, and he only can do this if you know about the things behind.
You mentioned Japan before. Do you have plans for opening another office, or 2 or 3 or 5 in different countries like the United States, Canada, Brazil, let's say Africa or
Yeah.
Australia?
So currently
That's
we're
the desire.
working. We have an office in Italy, and we are working on a real office in Tokyo, which is in progress right now. We are working on an office in Beijing, in China. I will go to the States in 2 weeks again, discuss some things with our business partners. We have some business partners there. They want to outsource their offices again to work with Zeta to resell it in America. We have one of our business partners in Vancouver. They're using Zeta, and he's more than interested in also reselling it. He said, hey, I could do computer and I want to sell this. This is a good business thing for
Yeah,
us.
this is a partner who had originally just been using Zeta as an embedded solution for a product that they had, and I think they're looking to diversify a little bit and then they're really also excited about the product. Every new version, they're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Hey, you guys are doing a really great job here. We're like, thanks.
Just a side note, in terms of questions, what else do we have?
I'm pretty much done.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap it up in another 2 minutes or so.
So I have just one
Sure.
closing question. So, well, the company is your baby, so to speak. You started this from scratch
Yeah,
some years ago,
don't remember me. Believe that.
and at that time when they started to get known, many doubted it could live 6 months. It's now several years later. How do you
Yeah.
feel about it?
Well, you know, I'm very proud to work with him together. We have a lot of fun, but we also do very professional things. So I'm proud to have this team. You know, you come into the office. We have a very beautiful office. You haven't seen it, so you should go there. And you come in, you're really proud. You know, you are a part of building these things, make them happen. And it's something no one can take away from you anytime in the future. So I feel really good about the company. We had some very difficult situations, so to speak. You know, we can say we are not top managers. We have not hundreds of millions of dollars from venture capital guys where we hacked some app server to show them something. We really built everything from scratch, and we can pay our employees every month ourselves from the incoming. So we have to be proud. And I'm very proud to be a part here. I mean, you know, I'm not from the computer world, and it was very difficult for me to make these things happen. And when I remember you, I saw him in BeGeistert, and one told me, hey, this guy's from B, and we just talked today about it, and I told him about my ideas, and he said, oh, this guy must be really mad.
Well, those are really cool ideas, but you know, I don't know if you could actually make them happen.
Yeah.
You know, you think these things, and then you get to know more, and eventually I was convinced to come out to CeBIT to a show that he had. I'm like, yellowTAB has a booth at CeBIT. He must be doing something right.
I was there with you.
Yeah, that's right, you were there. And that's when I first started working for yellowTAB, because I was just really impressed by the way Bernd presented himself, how he could get people really enthused about a product that internally I was really always been excited about, but I could never I couldn't sell it. I'm the engineer, I can't really sell it. Ask me, demo the product. Well, yeah, it's nice. I can't really do that. Bernd does stuff. I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. And I even get more excited about it because the way Bernd is able to present it, like, I know this stuff, right? So it really, the way Bernd handled things really convinced me that this is something that we could really make our dream.
I saw you before and after. I did see a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I think this wraps it up.
Yeah. On behalf of the community, I thank you for my respective websites, Haiku News and IsComputerOn, and thank you for your time.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.